EOS has transformed my business and has changed my life. And today I want to share my lessons with you and how you can implement EOS into your business as well. So man, one of the hardest parts about this whole entrepreneurial journey and building a business and growing a business and running a business is really feeling like we're just flying blind without any sort of game plan, without any sort of blueprint. And we're just figuring out like how to put the right pieces in the right places in the right order, because the right sequence and order really matters as well. And a lot of times we can spin our wheels working really hard for years, like I did, and feel like we're not getting any traction. We're not really growing. We're not elevating to where, to that business owner that we really want to be. And so for many years, I did that. I worked hard. I worked really hard, and I felt stuck. I felt like I was on this hamster wheel, looking back like 365 days earlier and feeling like I didn't make a lot of progress despite working really, really hard. And over the past 2 years, my team and I have been implementing EOS, and it has transformed everything. Now our business is a well-oiled machine. Hey, we're still growing and we're still going through challenges and learning every single day. We have a pretty well-oiled machine. We have an amazing team. I've been able to elevate into the visionary of the company that I've always wanted to be. And it's because of our commitment to the EOS system. So I want to take you on our entrepreneurial journey, our EOS journey, by way of walking you through some of these books, not all of the books. Before I get into that, if you're not familiar with EOS, it stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. Head on over to eosworldwide.com to check out a little bit about the system and a little bit about the books. Real quick, a kind of elevator pitch on EOS is it is a system, an operating system for running a business. So it gives you a framework on how to put those right pieces in the right place, in the right order, and how to put the right people in the right place, in the right order as well. And it just makes everything like very clear and very manageable and very scalable. And it gives you complete visibility into every area of your business. So that is EOS. Okay, so let's dig into these books. Many of you have read this book, Traction, before. This book, so when I read a book, I write in here when I read the books, all right? So I've read this 3 times now: fall 2016, December 2020, and January 2022. We did not start implementing EOS until about June of 2022, which is about 6 years after I first read this book. And I share that with you guys because a lot of people have read this book, Traction, and a lot of people like me read it and they're like, man, just like, I don't get it, or it just seems like way too much. It's a lot to implement. I don't have the people to implement. Like, I'm a solo dude. Like back then I kind of was. I don't really have the people. Like, I didn't really implement it, right? So I didn't know how. So Traction, while it can be an eye-opening book to read, can be very intimidating, especially if you don't have a big team, and especially if you don't have what's called an EOS implementer, a professional implementer that you would pay to help you implement the EOS system. So for those of you who have read Traction, you know what I'm talking about, right? I highly encourage you to read this book called Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel describes the relationship between the visionary, which is usually the founder, the owner, and the integrator, which is like the COO role, the chief operating officer, the second in command, the person who is running the day-to-day of the business. When I read this book, I'll never forget when I read this book. It was March 2021. I was on a plane to South Texas and I read this book and my mind was blown. Like, I was like, yes, like I get it now. Like, it made that emotional connection with me, and it was like that aha moment. So from that time on, from that period of March 2021, I then connected with a couple people. Benny Fisher, who is now on our leadership team, he was one of those people that I met at that event in Texas where I was flying to in March 2021. And Benny has helped us to implement EOS. He's now sits on our leadership team. He has for a year and a half, and it's been transformational. So Rocket Fuel, amazing. After that, I would recommend reading the EOS Life. The EOS Life is a fun read. It's very short. You can read it, in a day or two. And the EOS Life is all about doing what we love with people that we love, making a huge difference, being compensated appropriately, and having time for other passions. So those are like the 5 things that make up the EOS life. So read those 3. Don't worry about digging into the other 4 until you actually start implementing EOS. But I recommend Traction, Rocket Fuel, and EOS Life to really get a grasp on this stuff. And that'll help you understand not only the nuts and bolts, like the nuts and bolts are really in the book Traction. That's kind of like your textbook. That's kind of like your reference manual. And then Rocket Fuel and EOS are really about the mindset of buying into the whole process. So once you start digging into EOS, now you can go one of 2 ways here. You can do what we did, is you can self-implement, which means you can take the books, you can take the online trainings. There's a lot of resources on their website. You can pay to go to some of their classes, which we have, and things like that, virtual, in person. And you can implement it yourself. That's self-implementing EOS. The other route that you can take is you can hire a professional certified EOS implementer. Now there are 700 or 800 EOS certified implementers around the world. These are people that have paid to get the certification, have gone through the EOS training, and they are certified to help companies implement the system. You're gonna pay anywhere between, say, $25,000 and $50,000 a year for an EOS implementer who will run your meetings, who will help you implement the whole program. So hiring an EOS implementer is something that is gonna help you to compress time, right? You might be able to figure out EOS in 2 years. With an EOS implementer, you can figure out in just 3 to 6 months. We at Contractor Dynamics did not hire an implementer. We chose to self-implement because we have someone on our leadership team who has been through the process, who has a lot of experience with it, and we've been able to do that ourselves. So, try it out either way. It's up to you. But they do say, even in the books, even in Traction, they say it's gonna take you 2 years, 2 full years, even with an implementer, before you really start to operate EOS Pure. EOS Pure is following everything to the T. Now, a lot of companies will say, or a lot of training programs out there will say we kind of do EOS, we kind of do our own version of it. That might work. I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, man, I'm not smart enough to reinvent the wheel. I would just rather tap into something that's been proven with thousands and thousands of businesses and just follow that. It takes some of the thinking out of it. I don't have to be creative. This system works, and it works really well for small companies, mid-sized, big companies. It already works. So why try to reinvent the wheel? So we at Contractor Dynamics try to be as EOS pure as possible, which means literally going by the book. Whatever the book says, we are going to do. So I should probably do a series of videos on this topic because it's a big topic. But I do want to just kind of wrap this video up by saying, I highly recommend checking out EOS, okay? We've been in business 11 years, and we've only started implementing EOS over the last 1.5 to 2 years max, and our business has transformed. I wish I found it 10 years ago, right? But everything in due time. So I highly recommend diving into it right now. Buy the books, get if you have a leadership team or you have a business partner, or you're working with your spouse, everyone read the books, get on the same page.